waters. Legend has it from time to time they would go into the land and kidnap young men and women to force them to marry them and keep them in a or those located near lakes, lagoons, and rivers are full of legends about creatures that inhabit the depths of the waters or their surroundings. Many of these creatures can even be said to be more terrifying than the legendary megalodon. Although it should be noted that the creatures you see here originally come from legends all over the world. But be careful, this does not mean that they do not exist. On the contrary, many mythological creatures have been seen around the world. And today, we'll tell you about the ones that could be scarier than a giant shark. Number 11, Kalupalik. It is said among the Inuit people that a creature resembling a mermaid inhabits the shores of North America. The being itself is known as Kalupalik, a monster with some human features that attracts children and young people playing near the shore, with a buzz. When the infants get close enough, it pulls them quickly with enormous force into the depths of the ocean. At first, they might look like a human, except for their green hair and abnormally long nails. Number 10, Ningen. The Ningen, which in Japanese means human, is a creature that lurks in the seas around the island of Japan. And by the way, it is not a human at all. It is simply called that because of its most terrifying feature. Its limbs are exactly the same as a person's, but on its face, even though everything might seem normal, it has the terrifying characteristic of not having a nose. Instead, there's nothing but a grotesque hole. As well as having human limbs, it also has fins and a fishtail. The Ningen is a born killer. It appears to swim on the surface of the water when boats are cut off by dense fog. But if you let it get too close, you can kiss this world goodbye. Number 9, Leviathan. The Leviathan is based on a Jewish legend, but it is also known to be a part of the Christian bestiary. It is a sea monster several hundred feet long, which takes innocent sailors to their graves. This demon spits a fire that can make the water around it boil, turning the sea into a real hell. It is said that it is not the monster itself that kills the sailors, but the water vapor, which is hotter than fire.
That's crazy, dude.
Number 8, Umizobu. If seeing the Umizobu doesn't kill you with a heart attack, then it will kill you itself by throwing you overboard. It's a sea monster from Japanese folklore. It's shaped like a colossal ghost, as black as the darkest night. You can only distinguish its two eyes as big as spotlights. There is reason why Japanese sailors prefer storms, because it is when the sea is the calmest that the Umizobu emerges from the depths in search of new victims.
Oh my God.
Number 7, Hydra. The Hydra is one of the best-known creatures of Greek mythology, and no wonder. It's a giant, long-necked, dinosaur-like monster. It also has a jaw equipped with sharp teeth and acidic breath capable of burning skin. But its most frightening feature is that if its head is cut off, 2 will emerge from the wound instead. Number 6, Finfolk. In Celtic culture, there is a legend of a ghost ship driven by a crew of terrible sorcerers, experts in black magic. These individuals bear the name Finfolk. And the worst thing is that they don't just act on the waters. Legend has it from time to time they would go into the land and kidnap young men and women to force them to marry them and keep slavery and pain. Number 5, Jormungandr. Jormungandr is a monster that is part of Nordic mythology. It's an abominably large serpent that dwells in the waters of Midgard, the world of men. It is necessary to emphasize that the size of this ferocious beast, according to mythology, was so big that it could spread from one side of the world to the other.
Okay, I think that's
Number 4,
Come on now.
Kraken. The Kraken is one of the most famous creatures in this talk, and it's all thanks to the entertainment industry. However, the reality is that according to the original Scandinavian legend, the kraken was not one, and it did not have a single form. It could exist as the classic giant squid, but it could also be shaped like an octopus. There are even some versions that described it as a giant crab that would tear ships apart with its claws. Either way, any of the variants is just as frightening. Number 3. Siren Crowan. According to a Scottish legend, the Siren Crowan was a completely ruthless sea beast with a mouthful of quills and a giant body. Its way of getting new victims is somewhat perverse. First, it reduces its size to that of an ordinary fish, perhaps the size of a hand or, at most, an arm, trying to look inconspicuous to a fisherman without being threatening. Then, when the fisherman catches it, the Siren Crowan grows again, reaching its original size and devouring everything in one bite.
Bro, you know, some of me
Number
see these
2.
creatures in real life, but some
Iku
of me
Turso.
doesn't.
This beast is also known as the Last Savage, and it is a being of colossal proportions and an inhabitant of the deepest waters. It's similar to an octopus since it has tentacles. However, in some sources, it is described as having the antlers of a moose.
Doorbells, man.
Also,
Like,
when
on,
it becomes furious, it
I don't
grows
have my
a
own
pair
house,
of dragon
guys.
wings.
I really don't have my own house. And I'm really
Number
wanting
1. Vadi
I'm
Annoy.
looking into it, okay? I
Slavic
promise you.
mythology
There will
hosts
be
one
more
of the
content
most
with
frightening
more
monsters in this video, the Vadi
people. Look at these
Annoy.
ugly monsters
Its
right
body
here.
is like a giant slug covered
That
with
frog
smelly
creature.
mud. He has a moldy green beard and his face resembles that of a frog. To hunt, he disguises himself as a very attractive young man who attracts women to the water, where he can drown them and then
like a
eat them in
frog, bro.
peace. Zero Zone. Ichuizga. The Ichuizga, or translated from the ancient Scottish, water horse, is just that. It's an evil demon, always looking for new victims.
A demon?
He can disguise himself as a slender horse or an adorable pony, tempting the youngsters to get on it and go for a ride. But as soon as they get on his back, his sticky, adhesive skin keeps the victim from running away. It then dives into the deep water where it tears the body of its prey and leaves only the liver intact. There are many monster stories on the
That's
planet.
creepy,
It's
bro.
even said that some terrifying monsters could be walking around the planet right now. If you want to know more, here's the video.
Well, man, hey, that was a pretty interesting video. Some of these creatures I never heard of. I know what the Kraken is, but that's probably the only creature that I knew. And then Frog, man, I didn't know who that was at all either. But hey, if you enjoyed that video, make sure you drop a like, man. Let's try to get this video to, I'll say 3 likes. 3 likes is good. That won't hurt nothing, you know. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button because I'm posting daily once again. Even with the little distractions that I have, it's still okay, as you can hear it in the background. But until then, bro, it's your boy Jays, and I'm out. Peace.